Hey, welcome back to another video. We're here to do the 2023 best photos for the channel. Last video of the year. I'm going to have a bit of a month off, so I'm looking forward to that. Spend some time with the family. Going to be doing some shooting, but no editing. So I'm just going to give the body a break and the mind a break for till the mid to late January. I'll be back around about the 20th, around my birthday sort of time. So I'll be back on track then. So I should have a heap of videos ready to go, so that'll be one good thing. It'll be a steady flow from then on. I was going to do about 12 photos and I tried to cut it down. I just couldn't cut it down. I sat here yesterday for like 2 hours trying to work out how I could cut, which ones to cut and cull, and it was hard. It was very, very hard. It was no fun. They're like babies, these photos, to us photographers. So I've got roughly about 35. So I'm just gonna go through them, have a little bit of a chat about each one, what they mean to me, what I was doing, where it was, give you a bit of an idea, look at the settings and stuff like that. Stuff we don't normally get a chance to have a chat about. And yeah, let's go do it. And yeah, let's hit that intro for one last time in 2023. Let's do it. As I said, we're going to go through. I've got it in Lightroom here. I've got all the shots down here. There is, let's check for you again. Yeah, 35 shots, so that's pretty cool. Obviously, I work in the Pilbara in the desert. Here's this first shot. Here's the new R6 Mark II with its Alpha Guard wrap on it, and I do love it. It looks $1 million. Currently shooting on that now, and that's what we're going to finish off with. I use my other camera that I do use through the year. This year was the G7X Mark III, and I'm really loving this. The picture is amazing out of it. The only downside I do have with this is the autofocus. Sometimes it loses you if you put your hands in front of your face and stuff. The autofocus is not the best. I've been hoping they were going to do a firmware update to maybe fix some of those issues with the autofocus on this, but there's been nothing there, and there's no real plans, I don't think, with them to replace this and bring in a new one which would have a better autofocus, because it's compact, it's easy to chuck in the backpack and take it with me on a shoot, hold it handheld, put it on a tripod. It's got zoom in it, so I can do a lot with it, and the sound's really good out of it, and the image is really good. And if you're looking for just a travel camera to take with you, they can take raw photos and stuff you can edit. Yeah, definitely worth the crack. So okay, so first photo, as you can see, is that. This was a time-lapse shot where I'd gone out. I didn't really know what I was going to get. I went out just to try and test a time-lapse program on the R6, which turned into one of the most epic sunrises I've ever had here in 14 years in the Pilbara. So just the clouds rolled, the colours, the reflections. I do have some photos of it down the track, and I'll talk a bit about the actual photo, but the time lapse just come up so good, and I was just standing there in awe, and I got some amazing photos out of it, and I'm really lucky. And on the three-legged thing head there with just a little newer cheapo carbon fibre tripod that I leave here at work, and just amazing. So yeah, very, very lucky. So that was a beautiful shot. I do love it. It shows off the gear, and that orange glow off the reflection of the filter, the polarizing filter, is pretty darn special as well. Facing the same way as we were then for the this was just before that sunrise, was this beautiful big Milky Way galactic core above one of the pits. They call that P1 pit, and that's looking from camp straight out over, and you've got the glow. You've got a bit of light pollution and a bit of mining, the lights from the mine, and a little bit of dust as well. And then here's this beautiful big galactic core rising up above it. I thought that was pretty special, and it's one I really enjoy because it's sort of, it reminds me of work, the bad side of work, which is obviously digging big holes in the ground, and then here's the natural beauty that we're lucky enough to see. And this was probably, I have to say, this was probably my favourite shot of the whole year, and I've been looking at getting this one printed and putting it in a nice frame in my office, mainly because it was that beautiful sunrise that we just talked about before. It's just me enjoying the moment, which I guess is the main thing about photography. As much as getting the nice shots, I just put it on timer and just had the camera shooting, set it up, and I got this beautiful glow here of this, the pinks, the purples, the oranges, with the blues, every color imaginable in the rainbow, and it just, everything worked out well on this, and I think it's probably my favorite one just as a personal thing, because it's sort of, I can put my head space straight back into that photo and put me back where I am there, and I can still see it in my head. So it's a good little one of those photos that just reminds you and takes you away to a place. And I think that's what it was, and about this one, I just really love it. And it's a beautiful photo. Like, you've got the hills, the Paxsaddle Hills, and then the mine site over here, and then here's this just amazing just colour burst coming out of the sky in the morning. So that was pretty cool. This one here is Point Cartwright. What I've done here, obviously Point Cartwright, I've done a heap of videos there now, and it's one of my beautiful spots. All these rocks around here, and where the waves are, and all around this side is just some amazing rock formations and patterns and stuff. Depending on the tide and the waves, where you can get to, just a really cool spot. You can fly your drone here. You get some good vision up here of the beaches down that way, and down towards Maroochydore, which is pretty cool. So what I did, I just wanted to highlight the lighthouse in this one, and all I did was just took all the colour out of the surrounding just by using different masks, which is up here in Lightroom. So you can see the mask setup. Come in here, and you can come to sky, subject, all those things. I've just masked all them up, and then I'm just taking all the colour out, and it really just makes that central focus come straight into the lighthouse, which I think is amazing. And then it sort of lets you look at the textures and stuff. The black and white brings out the textures of the waves and all that. So I'm really happy with that photo, and one of those ones that it just worked out really well. This is obviously on the little Mini 3 Pro too, so one of the tools I have in the bag, the Mini 3 Pro, which is just here. I'd love to be able to get the Mini 4 Pro so I can do the waypoints. The waypoints, I think, is an amazing feature that I'd love to, would be so much better to use than what is this, but this is just absolutely epic, and you can get photos like this, which is just crazy for a little tiny thing like this. It's very cool. This one here was at Point Cartwright, I think. No, this was at Point Arkwright. Not Cartwright, Arkwright. Another beautiful morning. Big batch of purples coming through, and all this foam had come through this little cutting and built up. This was a stacked shot, so I did about 8, I think about 6 or 7, 8 shots coming through. I've got the waves in the background, and then I stacked it all through so I could get all the detail on the foam. So this was very lucky, just right time, right place, right time. Afternoon, after work, come home, notice this beautiful colour coming up through the clouds. Grabbed me camera, was always ready to go. I have it charged, ready to go in the room. Run outside, literally 60 metres from my room, I reckon it was, and then I got this to look at. So just rainbow fingers, I guess, of colour just streaming through the clouds from the horizon over the west coast of Australia, and just an epic, had to be there, the right place, right time moment, and I was lucky enough to get an image, and it just pops. You've got, again, blues, purples, oranges, and then the foreground. If you look over here in the bottom right hand corner, you can see that is the tallest peak in WA. Yeah, it's got everything in it. So but these fingers of colour and sunshine just bursting through are pretty darn epic, and it was one I couldn't ignore. Okay, so this is one from where I was shooting before, where I was standing on the hill next to the spin effects and watching the sunrise. And this is from the time-lapse video, and as you can see, I had that in the morning. It was just out of control. It was just like this for 30 minutes to 40 minutes. I was literally just gobsmacked. Had to be probably the best sunrise. I'm not going to say the best, but one of the best sunrises I've ever seen in my life. It was just so amazing. The colours, the clouds, it had everything in it. It was just action packed, changing. The colours were changing and bouncing off different clouds. You had the shadow. It was everything you could imagine was there. And that photo sort of was one of those things. Again, right place, right time, just luck of the draw, and nature put on a show, an epic show. So, funnily enough, this one's just out of the iPhone. So you can see up here, it's just ISO 64, 6.86mm f1.8. So that's out of the iPhone 14 Pro. So Pro Max. So yeah, because I was shooting on this and I didn't have another camera at that stage. So very cool. Just out of the iPhone, just picked all the colours up, did it in RAW, so I always shoot in RAW when I'm on the phone, so I can at least try and get in and do some sort of basic editing and clean it up if I need to, and wow, just lucky, so lucky. Now, I did a bit of experiment, these beautiful trees, I think they're eucalyptus here in WA, up in the Pilbara, but shooting at trees with the moonlight, so obviously you can see, doesn't look like it's very dark, but basically pitch dark, as you can see by the beautiful stars and the sky in the background. The moonlight the moon had come up behind me, coming from the east, and that glow on the trees and on the white bark of the eucalyptus was they just look so. It's a funny, fancy word, but ethereal, I guess. It just had that sort of ghostly sort of feeling, and they just look so good. So 10 seconds, 3200, and it comes up good, so don't be afraid to get out in the night time with just the moon. You don't need lights, and then you can actually get some stuff. Good tripod. The tricky part will be, obviously, if you get wind in the grass or the leaves. As you can see, there's still a little bit of movement in there, but not enough to ruin it. It still gives you that nice scene, and the beautiful stars in the background just makes it pop, I reckon. Lucky enough to go on a Fiji holiday with the family this year to the Warwick Hotel, and this is a seafood restaurant out on their beach that they've built. Amazing subject, and I was constantly looking at it, trying to get photos of it, and I think this is probably one of the better ones for the week I was there. Had some clouds, and we find a bit of a sunset finally come through, some purples and some colours coming through. Gorgeous hotel and an amazing place. And yeah, really happy with how that one came up. Long exposure, so I think it was an ND 1000. Might even been the 32,000 because it's 170 seconds. So I'd say it might be the ND 32,000 on there. And that's really just flattening out the water. Up in that little dark line you see in the water, that's where the reef sort of ends. So it goes out there and it's all protected. So it's all shallow here with coral and stuff. So there's lots of fish life, and if you ever are going over there, you've got that to sort of look forward to. Funnily enough, it was a lot of cloud all week, but I think this was probably the best sunset with the colours coming through the clouds because it was just too thick on all the other days. So I only really had probably 1, maybe 2 days where I was lucky, and then I sort of had to get there because I was there on a family holiday, of course. So, but still lucky enough to get that in there. While over there on one of the islands, this old tree had fallen down, shallow water, so it's only about probably knee-high deep. The only thing really I did on this one, it's obviously a long exposure, 262 seconds, so it'll be 32,000 ND, which is what I wanted. I wanted everything else sort of moving except for that tree, which I've got. I just used what they call the tool here, in the transform tool. If you've never used that, if you've got something and it looks a little bit flat, you can sort of raise the height a bit, and that's all I did. I just used the vertical down here, and allows you to stretch an image and just get you a little bit of height. And that's basically the only really thing different I've played with on this one, and I think it come up pretty good. It sort of accentuates that tree and that log structure. So just something if you haven't looked at before, that transform is actually can sometimes work. Sometimes it's sort of just, you can see that it's stretched. In this one, you don't notice that it is, but it hasn't wrecked it. It's actually enhanced it. So it's one of those things you've got to get the right photo to use that. Something pretty darn cool. Again, Fiji, really clear nights. When I finally I had one night one chance to go out and try and get a Milky Way. I thought it'd be the ideal place to get some amazing astrophotography. As I said earlier, I had heaps of cloud all week. There were storm clouds all through the week. You can see a fair few just sort of here, but I got about an hour where it just cleared out, and I got a big gap, and this beautiful big Milky Way come through. Beach, palm trees, postcard sort of a feeling, and again invokes those really good memories in my head of time there with the family, so that was pretty cool, I thought. This was Fairy Pools. It's in Noosa Headlands in the National Park. Beautiful little water hole, I guess. I got up early, about half an hour earlier than I normally, and I got here about 3:30 in the morning. I ended up getting a Milky Way shot. It was nice, and I actually did cut that one out. But this one with the sun glowing over is just blew it away. So it was one of those ones I had to make a decision, and this one was by far the best shot of that shoot, and it was just, yeah, how can you beat that? Beautiful rock formations, the colour, the reflections in the water. I chucked a little light over to the side here just to give some light on those rocks while I was doing that to bring out those shadows, and it just worked out really good. An amazing little spot, and if you're ever near Noosa, definitely go check it out. It's definitely a great spot to go shooting photographers. It's right near Hell's Gates if you're looking on Google Maps, if that makes it a little bit easier to find. So definitely a beautiful spot. And then here's once the sun had just started to come in before I was shooting from over this way looking across, and then this way you can see the water crystal clear blue, and then we're looking down into that, and then a gorgeous sunrise with that mandarin or orange colours, and then purple and blues in the skies, and that clouds just sitting there. Again, just the more you get out, the more chance you get of getting these beautiful shots, and yeah, another pearler. I think I'm very happy with that one. I got to play with the RF 100 to 400, so this lens here with the Nissi close-up lens kit. So it's a little like a filter, but it's basically like a little macro lens you can whack on the end. It's good for telephoto lenses, so 100mm onwards, they reckon. And this was ideal for it. As you can see, it really dramatically drops down your focus range, and you've got this little tiny band, and this little shell was sitting on the rocks, and I barely got any of it in focus, but I think it's one of those sort of abstracty shots, and it just looks good with the purples, the whites, and the background, and it sort of just stands out, and I really like it. Some photos I don't think need to be fully sharp all the way through. Some can. It's about telling that story and giving that feeling off, and I just love the way this looks. I guess every time I look at it, I go, yeah, that's a really nice photo, and I really do enjoy it. So one of those ones, something different, and it was out at 400mm. So 400mm, 250 per second, ISO 125. So right out on that little lens, and then with that Nissi close-up lens kit, and I think it does a really good job actually. It's quite handy if you don't have a macro lens, just to go and get that, because you can just screw it on and go away and get some very cool macro shots. Very, very cool. And this is Dulong Point, and sunrise. I took Jack with me. Jack loves coming out on morning shoots. It's good, and I think it's good for him to get out and learn about getting up, and instead of just sitting there playing with Lego every morning, to come out and see a beautiful sunrise. He wanted to know where Jupiter was, which was up here to the left. I showed him Jupiter, showed him on the star app, and then he went and just relaxed, and we had an awesome morning, Dad and son. And again, I remember that every time I see it, and a beautiful sunrise reflecting off the clouds with beautiful rolling hills up in near Montville or up at Geelong, but yeah, it's all up near Montville and Sunshine Coast. It's all like this. It's just amazing spot. Bits of mist over here in the morning, and then looking over to Maroochydore and the Sunshine Coast over here with Mount Coolum and a few of the others. I can't remember all of them. There's a lot of mountains. And again, come up really good with the little mini. Just an amazing little drone. It's sensational. And so this is with the Case infrared filter. I did some testing with that on this day. Amazing spot out of Lake Weber. It's pretty much shallow. You can walk up to your knees all the way out here to nearly probably straight out to that boat. You can just walk out there. Very, very cool little spot with these. This is the Weber tree, the famous one, and it sort of sticks out over the water. And there's plenty of other different ones if you spend the time to walk around and get to it. There's lots and lots of really nice trees to go and check it out. But with that infrared, obviously it makes the greens and everything pop, so it's sort of basically like a negative image, and turns into black and white. Treat it like a 32,000 ND or a 16-stop filter. That's how much it's sort of, how dark the filter is, so you're going to get that streaking clouds and stuff in it. But I think it's a really nice image, and it come up pretty good. I think I called this one Evil Dead because it had that with all the dark trees in the background, and it was overcast, as you can see up here. It had that really sort of Evil Dead-y monsters and the trees coming to get you and stuff. One of the classic movies from my youth. But very cool, and I was just wandering around in the water, so again, pretty amazing spot. And then this is up on the point, another just beautiful tree, and then look, you can see the colour of the water is just amazing. Gorgeous little lake, nice cloudy day. It was perfect time to go and shoot. And again, I think that was just really nice conditions that day, and some really good really good things to photograph. So these beautiful trees and structures and rocks, and the lake as well that you can walk around and walk through makes a big difference. And this is the one that did really well in the Landscape Photography Awards the other day. So this is, I think, roughly about the top 300. You don't get an exact place, you just get a percentage. And I really loved it. Again, Mini 3 Polar Pro ND circular polarizer on, and just gorgeous. The glow of the hills up behind us. This canyon I've walked, and I've walked around all over the top of these mountains. But just that gorgeous glow, and then the dust and the mist in the background, and just that gorgeous sunrise. It's just amazing, and I'm so lucky to be able to go and check out all this stuff and see these amazing places. So a very, very cool photo. 100 to 400 mil, so I could zoom in. These galahs, which we have at work all the time around the trees, kicking around, and they're pretty amazing. Just gorgeous colours, super sharp. The animal autofocus on the R6 M2 is pretty darn good. Locks on the eye. Once you get that set up, it's pretty cool. So it makes focusing super easy. Those textures in the galah's feathers, and this the tree, and then it's the background just sort of blows out. That's the beauty I've found with that 100 to 400 is that compression it gets is pretty sensational. The further you go out, so at 400 mil, the better. At 100 mil, it's not as good. It's still good, but not as. But once you get at the 400, if you get something that's close, it just obliterates that background, and it's a smooth drop off. So becomes a really good photo. And this is one, I guess it's just a personal one. I sort of just doing my normal walks around camp and stuff, and afternoon, those purples coming through on the change to sunset. And 100 mil, just the colours. I just love that. Every time I look at it, I just go, yep, boom. And I've only just sort of highlighted, just not really edited. I haven't changed the colours or anything crazy or saturation. It's literally how I remember looking up in the sky at it, and that's what we get here. So very lucky in that regards. This beautiful Milky Way. Now this is a multi-shot, a bit of a blend, because I've light painted the foreground in here, so I wanted to get the Milky Way in, and it's just caught the core just as I was going to rise, and it was a long walk to get to this spot, and when I got there, super happy with that. I got this shot, and it came up really nice. Light to this side of the tree, light to that side, couple of seconds at the start of the shot. That gives me colour range on all them. I was able to just paint that into the tree and paint that foreground, and it came up really good. Super good background. The Milky Way looks amazing. The colours, everything in it. Again, just the dark skies in the Pilbara are just world class. If you are a photographer and you're looking and you're into astrophotography, coming to Australia, definitely put on your list. And all I can say is just come to Karanjini and stay there for a week, and you'll get this every night, without a doubt. Again, the little Mini, just straight up above me from camp, so I could basically just walk out of my room, 50 metres to the fence, put the drone straight up, and then I get a view like that. It's pretty special. Sun was sitting behind the cloud on this morning, so that was the sort of big key on that one. That sort of, when it got to that cloud, just big individual cloud just in the middle of nothing, and you see there's nothing on either side, but it was enough to block it and to give that glow underneath of the red duster, the red dirt underneath, and then the yellows, and then coming up to the blue sky here, and then it just really had a really soft glow all over the mine, and you can see all the dust coming through, and that sort of gives it like a foggy sort of a feel. And yeah, I thought it looked really good. You've got nature on the left, and then industrialization on the right. I guess and it's that balancing act, I guess, that we have to do. It's one of the things why I do photography. I know we sort of do this to the thing. That's my job. That's my trade. There's not much I can do about that. I've got to pay bills like everyone else, but also I get to show off this beautiful side of nature, and it's keeping that balance and making sure we don't go too far with this and destroy all this for no real reason or benefit. So, okay, so this is with the infrared filter again. Now this is over at the Sunshine Coast. Beautiful structure in the mountain. This is the Glasshouse Mountains. Obviously it's because it's 16 stop, you get that beautiful movement in the air, and that's pretty cool. I do love that. And then that softness of the clouds with the texture here is pretty cool, I think. So something different. And then it sort of I just wanted to frame it with the trees here in the foreground, and that's just from the rest area before you take off, and you can walk all the way up here and go to the top. It's about 3 hours, fairly steep, but yeah, just didn't even have to walk, just rest area, and I just took my drone for a fly and went up here and checked it out, and yeah, amazing. Really happy with that, how the infrared just dragged it out. And again, this is obviously up with a Mini 3, and you can see the rest of the Glasshouse Mountains, and you can see here, this is the trail they walk up, just along here, this white section, and then it goes from here up around here, and then you walk up to the top, and then come up to the peak up there. So it's a fair old walk. And this is fairly steep. This white section, that's fairly steep there, so if it's raining, just be careful if you're going to go. One of the other smaller ones from behind it, the only thing I probably didn't do really well in this is I left the power line in when I did the edit, and I for whatever reason I didn't notice it when I actually did the editing on the shots. Being there for, I think maybe because it's infrared, I didn't notice it because it's black, and it sort of melds in a little bit. But other than that, I love the shot, and I love this. It's an amazing little mountain, and this beautiful farm with cows and everything. Just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And then that's coming back from the other side, looking at where we were, and then coming back this side. This gorgeous, the Sunshine Coast is an amazing place. I think I've probably said it a dozen times already. These Glasshouse Mountains are just a view to behold when you're driving, even when you're driving up from Brisbane on the highway. You'll never miss them. You can always see them. Just another amazing part of Australia to go and put on your bucket list. Now also, sorry, before I forget, so with these, what I've been doing lately with the Mini 3 is, instead of using the auto panorama mode, I'm just doing my own panos with the 48 megapixel shot. So I think it was like 3, maybe 4 shots with the 48 megapixel, and then I'll just stitch them in Lightroom, and they are so much better than the actual ones, and you get less banding and less of those little join spots that you get with the DJI panos. Sometimes you get the breakups where they stitch it together. Sometimes it can be tricky, so it definitely a lot better doing that way with the 48 megapixel ones. And then another one from that same thing, just from a different angle, just using, and this is using the 2 times shot on it, so I don't think it's going to show it on here, but no, it's not going to show anywhere. But basically getting that compression of, or when you're shooting, just put it on 2 times, and that gives you that extra little compression, that parallax, I think it is the terminology, and it just gives that depth of field in your shot. So it definitely makes a massive difference, as you can see. And this is, funny enough, is from my backyard at our house. My amazing wife has got a little bird feeder up, and this beautiful plant. I was probably, if the birds had come like 2 days earlier, these flowers were in full bloom, and that's the only sort of thing. The only downside on this photo, one sort of still just hanging in, but like literally a day or maybe 2 days before, these were just going and just popping, but there was no birds. But these two little parrots rocked up, and they were having a swim and washing themselves, and I grabbed the 100 to 400, got out there and took some shots, and I really love this photo. It came up so good. Super sharp on the birds, you get that extra colour there and a bit of a feature, and yeah, one of those ones, another photo I'm really happy with this year. So something different, the birds, something I haven't done before, and something I'm enjoying a little bit more too nowadays. Science geologists can tell you why, I can't, but that just, to me, I rocked up and went, yeah. And then you got that sky in the background, the purple reflecting off the rock and the water. Just amazing. Waves crashing in the background. Quintessential photographers, gorgeous sunrise, and you can't walk away from things like that. And lucky, it makes getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning worthwhile. And some other things I've been playing on this year was crashing waves, and I've got a couple of really good shots. High speed, so this is 1/1000th of a second, ISO 1600, you got to jack it up. This is on the 15 to 35 lens, the RF L series, f10 to keep it sharp, and just that sunlight's bouncing off the waves, just highlighting them, and you can see that with the colour as well. So I was pretty happy with that one. I got a couple of decent wave ones, and I think that was something that just really pops out, and that wave gets that 3D pop to it. So happy with that. And then again, more patterns. Mount Cartwright, it's a bit of a gem of a spot. All along Sunshine Coast is amazing spots, but just these little, I don't know why, but you've got the stone and then these little raised sections in the stone, and then the water was coming through, like you can see here in the background, where I've got ND 1000 on. Ended up getting my boots wet and full of water, because just, yeah, the water was coming through, and I tried to get a few, but this one worked out to be the best one because it sort of showed all the texture of the front, and then showing the water coming through those different little, I guess, yeah, mountains in the mist, or whatever you could call it. You could call it all sorts of different stuff, but yeah, I love it with the beach in the background, the ocean, the blues, the different colours, and that sunlight. And again, that stacked image on this one, so I focus stacked it. Sunshine Coast, Queensland, surfers everywhere. 100 to 400. Wasn't expecting to do this, but as I pretty much sort of was done and dusted, I noticed a heap of surfers out in this little break here, and I said, well, I'm going to have a crack and see what I can do. Cranked up the speed to 1/8000th of a second so I could get this beautiful, and this was probably the best shot, and just he did a cut, I think cut back or whatever you call it, and it was pretty cool. Got a little bit of light, side light, and a bit of backlight in the wave there. And I'm no surfing photographer, but you guys will be able to tell me if it's any good, and I reckon it's come up a gem. I was a little bit excited about that. There's something new I hadn't done before, and something I've got an opportunity, I guess, to really go and try, especially with a longer lens. My hopes this year are to probably change this one and go to that new 200 to 800 lens. It's a bit of an upgrade, but I've got the 24 to 105, so it gets me to 100 anyway. And then if I got the 200, well, it's only a bit of a gap there, and I think that'd be a massive lens getting out that far, and I think then I can really attack any sort of surfing photos. But that's with that lens, and super happy how it come up. Very cool how you can see at that speed, you can see all the movement coming through that wave, and just, yeah, very, very cool. Something different, something out of my safe zone, I guess, and yeah, I actually really, really enjoyed it. So I hope you enjoyed it. My star trails. So it's about 280, 290 shots blended with Photoshop. So you basically go into Photoshop and you just use the lighting thing, basically highlight them, align them all, and that took hours because they were all enhanced shots. Cleaned them up, then synced them all 288 shots. That took probably 6 hours for them to sync and enhance each individual photo, and then took them into Photoshop and then auto aligned them all so they were all spot the dog, and that probably took another 3-4 hours on the poor old laptop. And once that had done, all you do is then go and click a little lighten button and it'll just basically blends it in. It's really actually super easy. And I'll probably start doing a bit more tutorial stuff in 2024, I think, to show you how I get to some of these. In the video I did talk about down here on the bottom getting that foreground, so I took a separate photo at ISO 400 and I think it was for 1.5 minutes, and then that gave me a nice amount of detail in here to get that foreground right, so I could go and edit that, clean that up a bit, do a little bit of dodge and burning down here with the hills to make that pop, and then you've got this just rainbow of stars. It was, again, amazing night, and then we had some meteors go through as well, so a couple of them that come up really good. So just an epic way to finish the year, I think. The Christmas rainbow, I'd call that photo. Very cool. Thank you for yet another amazing year of your support. I do appreciate it. Hope you liked all those photos. Yeah, looking forward to all the new challenges and places I get to go and see in 2024. I should be back on track about the end of January after my little break. Give the brain and the body a bit of a rest and get some sleep, and just enjoy spending some time home for Christmas with the family. And if you're home with your family, and if you, unfortunately, like I normally am, working, thinking of you, I do feel your pain. It's not much fun. But if you're lucky enough to be home with your family, enjoy them, have a drink, celebrate, eat whatever you want, do whatever. You never know when the wheel's gonna stop. And enjoy yourself and have a great Merry Christmas and a safe and prosperous New Year for you and your family and your friends. I will see you all next year in 2024, and thank you for stopping by. Thanks for subscribing, liking, hitting the bell and all that YouTube stuff. It's free, so it really doesn't hurt, but it does help us little guys out, and I do really appreciate it. Okay, see you in the next year. Catch you later. Peace.